Hi everybody, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Well, I've got bad news and good news for you. I'm not out in the garden today because it is so smoky outside from regional wildfires. So I need to limit my time outdoors. But the good news is I had planned to do today's video indoors anyway. I don't know how I managed that, but that's what's happened. So the topic for today is spring blooming bulbs. These are ones that you purchase and plant in the fall, and then they bloom the following spring. They are so gorgeous. They add a lot of color and beauty to the garden, and they're definitely worth planting. So what I wanted to do today was to talk about some things to keep in mind when ordering bulbs and maybe some things to look for, because I've been having an awful lot of fun ordering bulbs over the last few years. Spring bulbs include crocuses, daffodils, tulips, Dutch and grape hyacinths, snowdrops, rock garden iris, and so on. There are so many amazing bulbs out there. If you haven't purchased any yet, but you want to grow some, now is the time to either buy them at your local garden center or online. I love planting bulbs because there are so many beautiful, amazing colors and shapes, which really add a lot of beauty and interest to our flower beds. When you look in catalogs or on online bulb selling websites, there are a few things you want to take into consideration before you spend your money. Make sure you know your hardiness zone first. My garden is in zone 5B. Sometimes I see the most gorgeous bulbs and I think, wow, I want to grow some of those. But when I check the hardiness zone, I discover they won't grow in regions with harsh winters. So always check that before you get too attached to a certain bulb. You see this beautiful yellow ranunculus here. I would love to grow them here in Spokane. Just out in the open, in the garden, not with any special care or any special protection. And unfortunately, they are hardy in zones 8 to 10. So they really are not a good choice for me unless I wanted to just grow them one year as an annual. And I haven't committed to doing that yet. Another important piece of information is the height that the flower bulbs are expected to grow. What I've been doing lately is I've been purchasing a lot of more petite flower bulbs that I want to plant at the fronts of my flower beds. So that way I'll be able to see them easily. So think about where you would want to plant them before you buy, and make sure they're not going to be too tall or too short for that particular situation. Be aware that some bulbs are favorites of deer, squirrels, and gophers. If you have problems with any or all of these pests, you'll have to grow the bulbs where they can't get to them. Squirrels like crocus bulbs, especially yellow ones for some reason. And gophers love to sneak up on bulbs underground. And so something you might consider growing your bulbs in is a wire metal basket. And you can find those online and possibly at some large well-stocked garden centers. Deer love tulips. Now in my case, what I do is I only grow tulips in our backyard because the main part of our backyard has deer fencing around it, so they can't get in unless we leave the gate open, but fortunately that doesn't happen very often. The front part of our yard does not have any fencing, it's very open, and so I just make sure I don't grow things that they love to eat. Now, one thing I'd like to encourage you to do is to think outside the box. I know we all love our red tulips and our yellow daffodils, but there are so many other bulbs that are options for your garden. And some of them are tulips and daffodils, but more unusual varieties. So I want to show you some of the things I started growing in the last few years because they're so pretty. Alliums are really cool bulbs, but be aware that some states have shipping restrictions due to trying to essentially quarantine a region from a potential disease issue. So be sure to check to make sure the bulb company can ship those bulbs to you. For example, if you live in the state of Idaho or in some counties of Washington state, you cannot have alliums shipped to you. In that case, if you really have your heart set on growing alliums, you could always check your local garden center to see if they carry some that are certified to be disease-free. Now, I hate to put a damper on your enthusiasm, but remember that for every bulb you buy, unless you're going to be planting them in clumps, you are going to need to dig a hole. Sometimes I get a little carried away ordering different types of bulbs. Then the package arrives, I count up how many holes I need to dig, and I think, holy cow, I need to dig 200 holes. So just remember that you don't want to buy more than what you have time or energy to plant. On a related note, you want to get your bulbs into the ground after temperatures have cooled off, but before the ground freezes solid. Otherwise, you're going to need a jackhammer. If you live in an area that doesn't freeze during the winter, you are going to need to pre-chill your bulbs for a certain amount of weeks. So make sure you check with the source where you're getting your bulbs for the amount of time for your region. I recently created a list of bulb selling websites on my own website just to help you out. So go to susansinthegarden.com and you'll notice there is a guides menu. Just go down to where it says links. Click on that. And then as you scroll down, you'll notice, first of all, there are extension service and master gardener links in different areas of the country to help you out with gardening questions. Underneath that is the flower bulb supplier's guide. So I've got the name of the company and each of those links to the website for that company, and also this is the actual link that goes to each of those individual suppliers. And while I'm at it, you'll notice underneath I've got some seed sources and garden supplies links just right below it. I mostly order my bulbs from johnsheepers.com. They have a great variety and good service. And no, I'm not getting any type of a reward for telling you that, but that's the company I like to deal with. And they have graciously allowed me to share with you some photos of the bulbs that I just ordered to plant this fall. Okay, those are the things I wanted you to keep in mind as you do your bulb shopping. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks so much for watching today, everybody. I'll see you next week. Happy gardening.